We're honored to have all of you here tonight, and we're especially honored to have Barry here to receive this award. I think you would all agree he has richly earned it. We're pleased to honor him in the name of the man for whom the award's named, John Galbreath, who John Phillips, his grandson's here tonight, and Mr. Galbreath was a legend in the industry, deservedly so. One of those people that you talked about. He was a self-made guy who built a construction and project management empire worldwide. Wow. Owned the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the day, as many of you will remember. I mean, the glory years, the salad years, the championship years. And was hugely successful in the industry and entrepreneurial. Took his chances, brought two of the greatest racehorses in European history over here. Took a chance on them at stud. They both worked out really well for him, but ran a really successful empire at Darby Dan Farm, which is continuing today under John. Barry, I first met Barry 30 years ago, literally, and he had just launched Matchmaker Breeders Exchange, which was a very...
Out of high school.
You mean me? Yeah, maybe. And he was making the rounds in Lexington trying to tell us all about what the Matchmaker was all about. And I was editing the Thoroughbred Record at the time, one of the many businesses that I killed along the way. And Barry came over and we talked, and I thought, well, this is an incredible idea, an incredible venture, and it turned out to be. And it created some transparency in the stallion market, which really wasn't necessarily a popular thing at that time, but it really changed the business in a lot of ways. He went on to many other things. I worked for him for 3 years, was a tiny part of help launching the ACRS, and watched him go on to other things. But what I never expected, he would have never expected me to end up on a college campus, at least legally, and I would have never expected him to end up as a journalist. Wow. Now, is that embarrassing or what? I mean, anyway, I don't want to spend any more time boring you. I want to turn Barry loose for you, but Barry, if you will come up, I'm going to present this to you and then keep it to one side. There's a big version of it elsewhere that you'll receive.
I can grab my thing.
No, it's all right. We're good.
I got my phone.
I think I'm strong enough.
Is that Molio's?
Well, only a couple people can laugh at that, actually.
It's a $7,500 maiden at Ellis, is what this is. But a really good-looking horse.
It's turned into a run real quick. Tim Firestone didn't use his invite.
Very nice, very nice.
All right. It's all yours.
All right.
The microphone is yours. Those of you who need to leave, you might want to go ahead.
Please don't.
Anyone that's looking to take a little break and go to the ladies and men's room, now's the right time. Dean Callahan, thanks for your great remarks. Thanks for your presence. And I think that for all of us that are in the horse business, what you do here and what the other academic institutions that do to try to funnel educated young people into our world, we have lots of issues, and if anything, we need more educated young people. So I want to thank you and thank your program for all that it's helping to accomplish, and there's lots more to accomplish. So to the young students out there, hopefully we're going to give them some ideas about maybe things that they can take care of in their lives and maybe be up here someday. So I guess I'd like to start out by saying thanks to the University of Louisville, College of Business, and the Equine Industry Program for bestowing this prestigious award upon me here tonight. I have great respect for this award. How's the sound here? Can you all hear me? Okay. I can't go that fast. I have great respect for this award as I've had the pleasure of being intimately involved with some of its most notable prior recipients. In the 1998 winner, Wayne Lucas was one of the American Championship Racing Series' most consistent participants, winning our first championship with Farm Away in 1991. The 2001 winner, David Wilmot, and I have been friends, business associates, and partners from the time we owned mares together starting in the 1980s through the beta installation of Trackus in 2006 until today. The 2007 winner, R.D. Hubbard, was one of my most important influences in my career, but more of that later. I'm most proud that my good friend John Phillips, with whom I've enjoyed a friendship and a professional relationship for many years, is here tonight, as he is John Galbraith's grandson. Of course, someone else stole my line. But I'd like to address the rest of my comments tonight to you students. I've had an interesting, rewarding, and I hope productive adult life. In a word, blessed. I didn't graduate from college, though my college experience inspired me. In the summer of my junior year, my best friend Al Goldberg and I took a detour on the way to our summer jobs in Nevada, stopping in Aqueduct, and we met trainer Walter Kelly. This detour would change the course of our entire adult lives. At a time, I was just a fan of thoroughbred racing. Since that day, I've never left the horse industry, I've never applied for a job, I've never drafted a resume. Yet my life in the horse business has taken me all over the world, from dinner at the White House to tea with the Queen at Windsor Castle. I'm partners in a stallion with a sheikh who runs a country. I've bred and owned Breeders' Cup winners, and I've owned a horse who's in the Hall of Fame. But most importantly, I spent my entire working career and making a living in my hobby, sharing my life with people who share my passion and love of thoroughbred racing all over the world. I think your work life becomes a lot easier when you're fully immersed and passionate in the reasons you get out of bed in the morning. Passion has been the compass of my life, as you will hear through these remarks. I assure the faculty that I'm not encouraging the students or the dean to drop out of school and take a minimum wage position in the backstretch of Churchill Downs. But I would like to share some of what I've learned that has proven important on my journey. I've developed my own list of the 10 commandments of business, or maybe entrepreneurship. And unlike the real ones, they'll all be stated in the positive. They weren't delivered on a tablet from Mount Sinai, but were learned through my association with amazing mentors. And that's the story that I'd like to tell tonight. But first, the commandments. You shall always be prepared as possible. You shall never let go of details. You shall apply maximum effort. You shall show respect to your customers, special respect. You shall strive to collect talented coworkers who share your passion, including professional accounting and legal. I didn't throw that in just because you're here either. You shall always keep it fun. You shall employ a can-do attitude. You shall never be afraid to fail. You shall always strive for excellence. And always remember that your word is your bond. Do what you say you're going to do. So what is a mentor? According to the dictionary, it's a wise and trusted counselor or teacher. I've been blessed to have more than my share. For me, learning by example is easier than learning something in the abstract. Mentors might have been a little more important to me because, unlike you, I cut my book learning a little short. I couldn't have started my journey with a better mentor than Walter Kelly, trainer Walter Kelly. His knowledge and love of thoroughbred racing were unbounded. He did much more than teach Al and I how to muck a stall. I remember him reviewing a pedigree with us once, where he told us he had trained the sire, the dam, the grandsire, and the granddam. And I remember thinking that such a thing could never happen to me. Now I look at pedigrees and I see a third or fourth dam that I trained or bred. I moved on to Hall of Fame trainer Alan Jerkins, who delivered me a daily dose of infectious passion for the thoroughbred, who was treated with great respect and caring in his barn. His dedication was admirable. He had an amazing grasp of detail. He lived in the barn all day and understood the need to vary a horse's routine to keep them interested, both on the track in the morning and in the afternoon. He let them wander for miles during training hours in the morning, got them out of their stalls in the afternoon to graze, and put them in round pens to brighten their day, all of which was novel at the time. Al and I bought our first horse from Mr. Jerkins in 1974, and for a handful of years trained the horses together. It didn't take long for me to realize that Al was going to be the better trainer. We formed executive bloodstock, which allowed me to concentrate on that aspect, the buying and selling and portfolio management, while he took over the training. In fact, he has gone on to train at least a winner for me for almost 40 straight years. In 1978, R.D. Hubbard, honored by this organization for his entrepreneurial spirit in 2007, helped organize a group of associates who gave Executive Bloodstock $1 million to invest in Bloodstock. At the time, I'd been trying to buy mares for $5,000 and sell them for $6,000. Suddenly, and for the first time, I had a chance to play in the big leagues. That was just one of the things that I appreciated, but more importantly, the chance to work closely with such an amazing businessman was one of the great breaks of my life. D. Hubbard's ability to make everybody comfortable, whether he was walking off his private jet in his cowboy boots and into a glass factory in Kingsport, Tennessee, to inspect the line, meeting his hourly workers for a Coors at the local bar Friday after work, or having dinner with the President of the United States, he left an indelible impression on me. He's a man who not only lights up a room with his personality and his accomplishment, but his ability to process and recall detail is eye-opening. He inspired people to work hard for him. He is such a great guy, they never wanted to let him down. Dee introduced me to Walmac's Johnny Jones Jr. when I came to Lexington. Prompted by a conversation with and the financial support of Jerry Frankel, a lifelong entrepreneur who's been one of my greatest inspirations, I had come up with the idea to create a stallion season and share, a sale of stallion seasons and shares in a lively party atmosphere. I called it Matchmaker. Through Johnny's largesse, I was able to put on those initial sales with the leading industry members of the horse world in attendance. At the time, I was 32 years old. I don't think I understood just how special it was to have French industry legend Alec Head, Greek shipping magnate Stavros Niarchos, British soccer pool's titan Robert Sangster, and the most respected trainer in the world, Vincent O'Brien, and billionaire Nelson Bunker Hunt, just for starters, all show up at my first sale on day one. Of course, Johnny III was also my partner, but he'll get in the story in a moment. As an aside, Jerry Frankel has gone on to be one of the most successful Broadway producers in history. While I originally brought him into my world, he ended up bringing me into his, and has helped me to earn 2 Producing Tony Awards. But it is his overwhelming optimism and passion for accomplishment, now into his 80s, with no sign of slowing down, that inspires me daily. Back to Johnny Jones Jr. He was an amazing horseman with a great personality, not unlike D. Hubbard. One of the things I learned from him was that people enjoy doing business with someone they like, and it was fun to be around. I expanded Matchmaker from a yearly auction to a weekly exchange with my partner Johnny III, and we filled an office with co-workers who shared our vision, loved the horse business, and worked harder than people in Lexington were used to. They answered the phone at 6 o'clock at night, a novel concept in Kentucky at the time. It's always great when people that you work with go on to productive and fruitful and successful careers. And we had our share at Matchmaker. People that have affected the horse industry worldwide, including Darley's Charlie Bowden, Claiborne's Bernie Sams, University of Louisville's Tim Capps, and Highclare's Harry Herbert. Craig and Holly Banderoff were on the team then too, and I'm so proud of what they've gone on to do at Denali, and have boarded my horses there for the past 30 years. But their success as becoming world-class consigners is truly remarkable. I had the real pleasure of having my then retired father, who ran a manufacturing business, come to work to assist Johnny and I in the nuts and bolts of making a business work. He really helped us pay attention to the costs. I'm not sure I've ever been good enough at that part of business. The look and the fun of Matchmaker, and later the ACRS, was due to the eye and the mind of Michael Broad. He's been absent from our professional lives for 20 years, having gone on to greater things. But still to this day, when organizing a Breeders' Cup event, I think to myself, what would Michael do? And then I keep it to myself. Mentors are often thought about as being older, but I benefited from the influence of a couple guys who were only a couple years my senior. Robert Bat Masterson and Rich Santulli share my love of the thoroughbred business, and both have been friends and partners for over a quarter century. They are guys who really taught me about preparedness, how to think through an opportunity, design the right business plan, assure the proper financing, and show tremendous respect for customers. Watching Rich create NetJets taught me about the attention to detail that excellence requires. He set out to make NetJets the safest, most dependable airline with the best customer service, the best private events in the aviation world had ever seen. This is not unlike R.D. Hubbard's creation at Bighorn, the best winter residential community that exists in America today. It's an example I've always tried to follow. When you do something, try to make it the best it can be. I'm sure many of the people in this room would agree that sometimes my single-minded determination to do just that can be to my detriment. I'm still working on that too. Rich is as proud as I am that we've been able to help launch Trackus, real-time data tracking for horse racing, with the help of a great staff in Boston. Bob McCarthy is here this evening, who runs Trackus, and bring true innovation to the consumer's understanding of watching a horse race, a problem that's existed literally my whole life in broadcasting. For a long time, during the early part of my career, I was a bit of a deal junkie. I love starting new businesses or buying a horse. But I found some of the necessary business aspects boring and tasks like accounting and taxes particularly painful. I've been blessed for 30 years to have Ron Etkin worry about that for me and handle all of those details skillfully. And to have Frank Becker, also here this evening, handle all the contracts and keep me out of jail. I'm very proud of much of the matchmaker language drafted by Frank, Johnny III, and myself has become standard in the stallion industry, and that Frank's and mine's syndicate management language has become best practices and is used today by people that know what they're doing. I've never been much for focus groups, but relied heavily on my knowledge of the subject matter and thought that what worked for me would work for others. I developed a dissemination of European information for our matchmaker trading business and thought that expanding that information into a daily fax service covering race results, entries, sales, and industry news might become popular. That evolution from weekly trading at Matchmaker to a daily service gave birth to the Thoroughbred Daily News. And as Tim said, I became a publisher. The TDN, or a journalist, worse. The TDN changed my life, changing from a deal-to-deal existence and helped take me to a day-to-day activity existence. The responsibility for getting the information right and having it delivered in a timely fashion to inform our populace could never have been as good without my incredible, steadying co-pilot, Sue Finley. Sue takes on the responsibility of delivering a great product every day, giving me the freedom to do what I do best. And we're still not sure what that is. Not only couldn't the TDM be what it is, but Trackus couldn't be what it is. My Breeders' Cup involvement couldn't be what it is without Sue, who's been there to help support and coalesce my ideas for the last 20 years. We spoke about mentors being important, but sometimes coworkers with whom you share a passion and vision are equally as important. I've been lucky to surround myself with people who strive for excellence. My best friend Bobby Flay has, in the same 20-year period, become so successful, and watching the standards of excellence he brings to his restaurants, TV shows, our burger chain, and his personal appearances is a constant inspiration to me. If he wasn't shooting a show in Lexington at the moment, he'd be here tonight. And also a driving force. One thing with Bobby, if you take a misstep, he's very quick to point it out, usually before you're done the sentence. Mentors take on a lot of different roles. They're not traditionally thought of as contemporaries, but certainly I've had the pleasure of contemporaries in Sue and Bobby over the last 20 years who make what I do better. And as my wife pointed out in reading these remarks, these are actually younger than I am, so that's even makes it more special. For centuries, the horse business has been a place where the reputation had a reputation of attracting rogues. And yet, every mentor and coworker I have named in this talk is a person whose word is their bond, and their handshake is better than any contract. And for that, I'm immeasurably proud, because I know I couldn't have ever received mentoring better than that. And that's why I left that as the 10th commandment. So that was a look going backward. Now I'd like to look a little bit going forward for you students. I'm sure many of you are wondering, in the face of declining handle, declining foal crop, declining interest, why I should be optimistic about horse racing in America. I think I'd like to answer that, because I believe it's fixable. And hopefully you'll be part of the solutions. My vision of the fix is a three-part vision: improve the gambling, improve the sports quality, improve the on-site experience. Start with the gambling. Number one, we need to lower the takeout to make bets that we currently now offer provide more value to the customer. Over the last 30 years, the takeout's gone from 12 to 20+%, while we've experienced a reduction in field size and an increase in other forms of gaming. No business can increase its price while offering an inferior product and expect to prosper. 2, we need to introduce more flexible takeout. Not just flexible in the difference between win, place, and show, exacta, trifecta, pick 6, but flexibility in the win pools themselves, where smaller field sizes are taxed at lower rates. And in the place and show pools, which have a lower average payout, that they be taxed even at a lower rate. This is effectively done by bookmakers where that is legal. 3rd, we need to institute head-to-head or prop betting, what is known as AB propositions, which both mimic sports and casino betting. They can be introduced either pari-mutually or through exchanges or bookmakers. They can be interesting to people who like casino games without a lot of thought required, or they can appeal to sophisticated bettors who are used to betting financial instruments on a second-by-second basis, even in running, which is now popular all over the world. This is done in many parts of the world very successfully and needs to be adopted in America. Hopefully, you all will be part of that solution. As an industry, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make lottery or life-changing bets because we thought that was the way to go. On the other hand, the racetracks have decided to offer another product in the last 10 years, electronic table games and electronic slot machines, which requires no pre-thought to play, and guess what? They're proven to be way more consumer acceptable than what we do, and yet we've not been able to bring those types of bets from the casino to the racetrack. In fact, we're the only legalized form of sports betting outside of a couple states in the U.S. that is legal and is legal on your phone today, but we've not introduced the right products to broaden our audience. As far as the sports quality goes, I helped design the American Championship Racing Series 20 years ago, where through a schedule of mostly existing events, we mapped a route for older horses to run against each other, rewarding them not only with a purse, but with points, which led to standings and a year-end monetary award. The standings were carried in virtually every paper across the country. The results were reported on SportsCenter and similar programs. We gave the fans a chance to understand what we're doing, and we generated record handle on the races in the series. I think something along these lines that causes us to race our best horses against each other on a scheduled, more regular basis with commensurate financial rewards is necessary. And I see John looking at me now. We worked closely on a program called the TCT about 10 years ago where this was brought to the industry and not adopted. They were wrong. I don't think we can be successful if we're the only sport that doesn't crown our champions on the field and doesn't have any idea where they're going to show up next. 2, we have too much racing. In most places where racing is successful, there's a scarcity involved, whether it be the big Saturday in Japan, the 2 days a week in Hong Kong, or the big Saturdays in Australia. We have too much racing. We have too much racing that doesn't matter to anyone. And unfortunately, slot machine revenue in the Racino states has thrown the normal elements of supply and demand out the window. We are propping up a product that has no commercial value, and that's very bad business. Finally, we have to attract sports fans in major cities in order to be successful. And to do that, we need venues that satisfy sophisticated sports and gaming consumers. We can't offer substandard accommodations at a racetrack, the kind you would never see at a new football or baseball stadium or a casino. World-class hospitality, like the kind we have tried to establish at the Breeders' Cup, is a must. Without big events, great venues to hold them in, we have no chance to maintain attention going forward. I'd like to end with one brief additional comment about my life. As I think of the various contributions people have made to my career, and important as my mentors and coworkers have been, I'm not sure any of this would have been possible if, when I left college, I didn't have the full support of my parents. And later in life, the support of my twin boys, both of whom are tremendous racing fans, and one of whom, my son Brad, has entered our world. I experienced an amazing gift as a father when Animal Kingdom won the Dubai World Cup for his stable that he runs this year. And then I just got my birthday present a few minutes ago, which is an Animal Kingdom saddlecloth signed by the trainer and the jockey. So you couldn't be more thoughtful. That was a surprise. To my wife, Sarah, who lets me travel far too much, and I are parents of a soon-to-be 6-year-old daughter, who is already adept at playing horse racing games on her iPad, and who will be attending her second Breeders' Cup next week. Their loving and caring truly keeps me going, and I thank God for FaceTime. Thanks for your attention.
Barry, thank you for letting us honor you. We appreciate your coming here to get the award seriously. It's been a pleasure to know you for so many years and watch you operate. I was always, when I worked with Barry, I learned something every day, most of it good. But he was always an innovative, creative guy who was always thinking, forget the box. We talk about thinking out of the box, and we destroy a lot of boxes that way. Barry was just a thoughtful guy who wanted the industry to succeed. He had all the passion that he's described tonight, and that describes everybody in this room. I tell the students all the time, they've heard me say it 1,000 times, but you're all bitten with a horse bug at some point in life. It's a disease. The good news is it won't kill you. The bad news is it could bankrupt you, but it will never leave you. And this is a great example. So Barry, again, thank you for coming down, and to appreciate your coming and the remarks you made. And folks, we are done for the evening, and thank all of you for coming and joining us.